Hi, my name is Bridget.
And I'm Amanda.
And we live in this 2020 Ford Transit full-time.
Okay, we're going to tell you 11 things that we don't like about van life.
The first and worst thing about living in a van is dumping a toilet. We all go to the bathroom, we all know how it is, but having a toilet that you then have to dump afterwards can be disgusting. It can be hard to find a dump station. Sometimes a dump station costs money. It can be up to $20 just to dump a toilet that isn't that big. It's definitely one of our least favorite things.
Okay, our second thing is showers. We shower at Planet Fitness, which we love Planet Fitness. They're super easy to find, very convenient, but you never really know what you're going to get. Sometimes the showers are super cold, sometimes they're nice and hot, and yeah, just kind of roll of the dice. You never know what you're going to get. We also travel a lot, so sometimes we're near the ocean, we're in the desert, we get dirty, we have to shower a lot, and it's not quite the ease that you get with showering at home. You know, your shower's just right there, versus when we take a shower, we have to pack everything up, walk into a gym, and then go into our shower where we don't know if we're going to get hot or cold water. So showering, that's our second one.
The third thing we don't like about van life is having to find water. I personally drink a ton of water, so only having a certain amount of water can be really difficult. We currently have 25 gallons of water, which sounds like a lot, but when you think about two people drinking water, we use it for dishes, we use it to cook, it's really not that much. So it can be annoying to have a limited amount of water, and then it can be really difficult to find water.
Okay, our fourth thing that we don't like about van life is finding a place to sleep. We don't get the ease of going home and knowing where we're going to sleep every night. We have to find different places, especially when we're on the go and we're traveling to all sorts of different places. Every time it's time for bed, we have to do research, figure out a good place to sleep, or kind of drive around town and figure out what feels safe. There's also just a lot of variables that come with sleeping in new places. We never know if it's going to be noisy, if it's going to be super cold. So just a lot of things that come into play, like weather, noise level, new locations. All of that can be tricky.
Getting the knock. The worst part.
The potential of getting the knock.
Yeah,
yes.
The worst part is you never know. You may think that you've done all the research, you've prepared all you can, and getting a knock in the middle of the night, having the police wake you up and telling you you can't sleep there, or waking up and seeing a ticket is one of the worst things ever. For number 5, one thing that's difficult about living in a van is how variable the temperature is. We could wake up in the morning and it's really, really cold and you would struggle to get out of bed, or else some mornings you can wake up and it's beaming hot. The sun's been on the van all morning and it's really, really hot. So living in a van can be really hard with all the variable temperatures. The other tough part is rainy days. One of the greatest things about having a van is that you can go wherever and pretty much live outside. Like, the best part is we can open up the doors and we're at the ocean or we're hanging out with friends, which is really, really nice. But on those rainy or windy days, it's really difficult to just stay inside and feel like you can't do anything, especially when you're in such a small place. The other thing that really affects the temperature in the van is cooking. We use a 2-burner stove and an oven, which can get up to 500 degrees. So sometimes when we're cooking, it gets really, really hot in here really quick. So it sucks when you're cooking and you're sweating and you just want to sit down and enjoy your meal, but all of a sudden the van is so hot you feel like you can't even enjoy the meal. Although we do love our cooking setup, it definitely does suck when it gets really hot cooking in here.
Number 6 is the van gets dirty really quickly, and it also is really obvious when something is dirty in the van. This bed takes up like a third of the van, so when the bed's not made, it just automatically feels like the van is dirty. Or if somebody's cooking, that's another third of the van, so that when the dishes are in the sink or there's stuff on the counters, it just feels like such a mess in here. And it can be really hard to be productive in other ways when you feel like your space is messy. So that's really tricky.
Number 7 is cleaning the van before you can go anywhere. Although we both love having a van instead of like a trailer that you have to pull or have to set up a tent, it does come with some downsides, and that's cleaning before you drive anywhere. When you're in the middle of something, you're cooking, you're like, oh no, I need to go get a different grocery. You have to clean up everything. You have to stop what you're doing, make sure that nothing's on the counters, nothing from the cabinets can fall down, and just make sure that everything's tucked away and secure before you drive. So it can be really difficult to run quick little errands because you really have to stop, clean up everything, go run the errand, and then you can get back to what you're doing. If you happen to forget something on the counters and you take a left-hand turn, let me tell you, everything goes flying. We currently have latches on most of our stuff, but it's really easy to think that something's latched, and then you take one-hand turn and all of a sudden the spice rack is flying open. We have spices flying everywhere, or the fridge couldn't be shut all the way and the fridge could open up and food could go out, which would be horrible because, as we said, it gets really dirty on the ground. So the last thing you want is your food to be on the ground. Otherwise, it's got to go.
All right, number 8 is, this is a very small space to share with somebody. We're living in maybe like 70 square feet, and so it honestly, sometimes it just feels like someone is always in your way. If someone's washing dishes and then you want to walk by, then you gotta squeeze through. Also, if someone's cooking in the kitchen and you want to get by, that's another thing. You can't have 2 cooks in the kitchen because it is so tiny. Or the bathroom is right here. If someone's going to the bathroom, number 1, you're going to the bathroom in front of the other person. There's no getting around that. And number 2, if I want to get into these drawers down here, or if I want to get by and she's going to the bathroom, I'm out of luck because there's no space to get around each other. Also, you don't really get alone time. We are always in this van together, so if either of us want alone time, we have to plan for that, or someone has to go on a walk while the other person gets alone time in the van. So that can be tricky.
For number 9, we have limited storage. Having 2 people live in such a small space, it's hard to have all of our belongings. One thing that is a little bit nice is that we can often share clothing, but for her previously having an apartment and me going to college, we both had a ton of stuff before moving into a van. So with living in such big places before this, we both had to downsize a lot. We had to figure out between us what stuff was important and what stuff we want to get rid of, how much clothes we could have. Another part that's hard about having limited storage is having food. I personally love to cook, but it can be really hard to keep fresh vegetables and fresh fruit in such a small space. Especially like we said with the temperature varying, you can't really keep stuff out in the open. Like you can't, a bag of apples goes bad really, really easy because they've been sitting in the sun all day, or they're like really, really cold, and I hate cold apples on my teeth. So having a small fridge and having only limited storage for food can be really difficult because you're kind of limited to cooking the same things over and over again because you don't have room to have all different types of cuisines. So one way that we figured out to deal with this is if you want to buy something new, that's fine, but that means something has to go.
Number 10 on our list is gas. This thing is a gas guzzler. We get 13 miles to the gallon, and gas in California is really expensive. We spend a lot of our time in California, so we spend a lot of money on gas. Because gas is so expensive, we have to decide how much we want to move and travel and how much we want to stay in one space so that we're not spending so much money on gas.
For number 11, we have limited power. I currently work on a computer from the van, and that drains a ton of power. I'm always having to charge my battery throughout the day, and although we do have 200 watts of solar and DC-DC charging, we have a limited 300 amp hours of batteries. We always have to be cognizant of how much power we're drawing. If we wake up and make coffee on the coffee machine, and then make stuff in the toaster, and then I'm charging my computer for work, it really drains a lot, and we have to be aware of how much we're draining, because it would suck if at the end of the night it's really, really cold and we don't have enough power to run the heated blanket, or we wake up and the battery's dead from running the heated blanket and we don't have power to make coffee. Nothing worse than not being able to make coffee in the morning because someone gets crabby.
If you've enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions about van life. We'll be making more videos in the future, and catch you later.
Woo! Why was that so easy for you?
I feel like it wasn't that good though.
Really?